Yeah, that's a great question. So, what value do I bring to the table is basically the question. And San Francisco is a very specific property where each and every property here is different than the one next door. We have such a varied building stock here that having intimate knowledge of each and every home, what the quality and condition is, how renovated are they, where does the sun fall, right? Where's the wind coming from? What time of year is it warm and cold? And all these microclimates and intimate knowledge of all these all these factors go into valuation of a home and how to best present the property to the market. So first off, like I've lived here my whole life, so I mean I know every nook and cranny in this city, and the north side of town is what I specialize in, from Telegraph Hill to Seacliff, anything north of California Street. This is what I know the best. And the advantage that I bring, the value that I add, of all this historical institutional knowledge of all these buildings, allows me to best help guide, advise sellers in terms of how to present the property and what the pricing strategy is, and how to interact with buyers to help them understand sort of what they're seeing. So being able to defend and use data points to explain, what the value of a home is to a prospective buyer is really, really key, especially in the high end, to be able to very specifically point to other properties, addresses that best compare to this one. And I feel like I just have such a great history and experience in dealing with these high end homes that I can pretty much right away tell you sort of where the value lies. And in terms of how do you get top dollar in a San Francisco market for high end homes? Well, it's the 7 P's. Prior preparation prevents piss poor performance. That truly is sort of my guiding principle. And the more work we can front load into a property in terms of preparing it, the better off we are once we bring it on to market. Because an educated buyer is one that's willing to pay. So getting the house ready, doing all the pre-inspections, getting the disclosure package ready, all of these items, they all help sort of sustain and keep the value of the home. It's really, really important to come to the market in San Francisco being well prepared. Absolutely. Because number one, it just makes the buyer feel more comfortable. And number two, it protects the seller in terms of buyers trying to renegotiate or do anything down the line, because we've disclosed everything up front. So in terms of selling San Francisco real estate, presentation is vital. Pricing is absolutely vital. And then number three, being able to effectively communicate this to the buyer and their agent is so key, because it's buying real estate is an emotional transaction. It really is. People want to believe that it's about data, but it really isn't. It's an emotional experience. And we want people to feel comfortable. We want people to feel at home, but they also need to feel sort of the urgency to buy it before the next does. Because finding a good home in San Francisco is not easy. And we're in the entertainment business here, honestly, to tell a great story. We want people to come and see the story, and be part of the story. And if we can hit, a nice, well-rounded emotional experience, it just adds value. So, there's a lot of personality involved, right? To be able to best communicate with a buyer in terms of where they are, what the value is of the home, and why it's a great spot for them. Because honestly, a buyer will know pretty much when they kind of walk in the door whether or not it's for them. So much information is assimilated before a buyer even shows up to the home. And we take great pride and care in presenting our homes digitally, as best we can. Beautiful pictures, beautiful imagery, beautiful video, descriptions, floor plans, websites, social media content, all of it goes out into the world. And so buyers now can get all that information even before they come to the front door. So if we can get that information out, get the buyers interested, and actually have them come, then we're that much closer to getting a transaction. And a lot of agents will just put a lockbox on the door, and they'll just be like, okay, go see it whenever you want. Like, I do not do that. I believe in showing the buyers myself, because then I can effectively again, communicate with them, the pros and cons of the property and the ins and outs. Like, you can't do that if you're not here. Plus, you don't want to get any feedback, because not every house is for everybody. But feedback from buyers who don't buy the property is good feedback. Information is the key. This is how the world transacts now, is information is everything. And the more information I can get from buyers, the better I'm able to then find the appropriate match for who is going to buy the house. So there's just so much thought that I put into bringing a home to market, which is one, but also so much thought in terms of how I'm interacting with the buyers who are coming through the home. This is for them. This is for their life, right? And so I want the experience to be as fulfilling as possible. And sometimes that means just stepping back and letting them experience the home. And other times it's engaging with them if that's what they're looking for. So being able to, connect with whoever's coming through the home, I feel is something that adds value to the process, and not being pushy and salesy because I know the house is amazing. It's not that. It's about providing information and guidance as best I can. So working with sellers for me is a lot of fun. I love it. I love the architecture and the buildings in San Francisco. Sometimes I wish they were a little bit more exciting, in terms of, architectural significance. But we have a lot of historical, beautiful properties here that have been redone, and some really fun, interesting things that have happened, because architecture is a way of communicating with people. Truly, a home, a piece of property makes you feel a certain way. And I like sort of exploring what that means for people, both for the seller and the buyer, because the sellers know the property so well. So I use a lot of what the sellers love about their home, and then weave that into the story for the next people who will be the stewards of the home. So there is an unending amount of different styles and types of homes here in San Francisco. So it keeps me on my toes. I'm always learning something. If anybody tells you they're an expert in real estate, they're liars, because I learn something every single time I interact with a new property. So there's a lifelong of learning here. I've had almost 25 years of experience doing this. So being able to bring all of that experience to the next property, I feel I add a lot of value in terms of selling a home here in San Francisco.